over the jungle. And the parties will last way into the night, because this is the night the Bengals dance in the jungle. And you know, Clyde, I'm wondering if you think this party and the parties that have been thrown today are hot. I can't wait to see what will be thrown in a couple of weeks today from today after the Super Bowl. Reporting live from the waterfront, Courtis Fuller, News 5.
All right, Courtis, before you get out of there, the Bengals there, any players milling through the crowd?
As a matter of fact, I saw Boomer walking around here, and saw a few other Bengals enjoying themselves. Icky was around, and this guy here is enjoying himself, too.
All right, Courtis, get his name. We'll report him a little later on. Thanks a lot. That was Courtis Fuller, and you can bet, of course, that's just one of the Bengals parties going on around town tonight. Of course, there is plenty to party for. The Bengals totally outclassed the Bills, especially the defense, the part of the game experts say can make or break a Super Bowl contender. One expert who watched the game closely, Thom Brennaman, here now with a highlight.
I don't know about expert, Clyde. That's
oh, you qualify.
Heavy, you know,
Trust me, you qualify.
You're right. The defense was the difference. And the offensive line, after a little bit of a slow start, got it going, and boy, it was all she wrote after that, because the running game just took off. And I think the thing that makes this moment even more gratifying is the road this team has had to travel to get here. 1 year ago, most in these parts were ready to exile Sam Weish and Boomer Esiason somewhere north of Siberia. Oh, but 13 months later, the two are one step away from the mountaintop as the Bengals are headed for the Super Bowl. Capped off a perfect season at the Jungle, 10-0 on the year. Icky the man. In the first quarter, number 30 barreled in from a yard out, 7-0 lead, and a roar from the Jungle cried for the shuffle. Ick went to the sidelines, little showtime, along with some help from his SWAT team buddies. I like this part. They've added this on. That's pretty big. Second quarter, with a score tied at 7, Boomer, the perfect loft to James Brooks in the end zone for 6 more. 14-7, a lead they were never to relinquish. The defense, as we talked about, phenomenal. Shut down the Bills' attack in every way. They picked off Jim Kelly 3 times in the game, and a celebration time at the end. Sam getting the better of Fulcher here. 21-10 the final at the
Great win for our team. It's from Paul Brown through the Brown family and through our scouting department and our position coaches that don't ever get enough credit, and the players that went out there under really some adverse circumstances.
We've got more coming up in sports in about 10-15 minutes from now. Carl Zander will join us live from the water.
All right, just to get it on the record, this is not a statement of support for the Bills. This just happens to be what matches the suit.
I'm worried about that myself.
We'll
get to that later.
Trust me, I'm a Bengals fan. All right, Tom, he'll be back later on with more in the way of highlights. Of course, for some fans, those highlights are even more vivid tonight because they were in the Jungle to see the game firsthand. And they celebrated the biggest win in this town in a long time. News 5's Jerry Springer was one of the fans, one of the biggest fans at the stadium, and shows us the good times in the Jungle.
As almost 60,000 people poured into the stadium this morning, there was a spirit of giving in the air. While scalpers were getting more than $100 a ticket, a little boy got to see his first Bengals game absolutely free.
I had a sign up saying I need 2 tickets, and a guy came up and he said, "How many do you need?" I said, 2, and he just stuffed them in my hand. I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Absolutely nothing. They're yours." I don't even know who he was.
Quarterback Boomer Esiason made another little boy's day by tossing him a football.
I was watching the Bengals warm up, and he came in and he said, "You want a ball?" And I said, "Yeah," and he threw it to me.
Maybe the game is bringing out the best in people, but I tell you what, let's get back to what's really important. The game. Hooray! Come on!
The cheerleaders aren't the only ones who can get the team fired up.
Game doesn't even cover this. This is life.
Sometimes the fans tell the whole story. Watch this Bills fan as she watches her team try for a field goal. No good. And we're off to Miami for Super Bowl 23. Congratulations, players and fans. We did it. Jerry Springer, News 5.
And in 2 weeks, we'll hopefully do it again when the men of the Jungle invade the beach. Well, you can bet somewhere tonight somebody is paying off on a bet, but it's highly unlikely anyone made the bet Mark Asbach did. He promised fiancée Phyllis Speed he'd marry her if the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. So today, he popped the question.
So since we figured the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl, we're in front of 60,000 screaming maniacs, I didn't figure a better time would be now. So on national TV, Will you marry me?
Oh my God, are you totally serious?
Yeah, take your gloves off.
Oh my God.
Take your glove off.
Oh my God.
Asbach has had Bengals season tickets for 5 years. He and Speed have been an item for 4. Well, coming up next, England experiences its second plane.
Woods. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
Right side.
Let's look at Clyde. After that 87 season, just full of frustrations, the 88 Bengals are headed for Miami and the Super Bowl. Today, Cincinnati was led not by its highly touted offense, but rather a defense which was simply outstanding. The Bengals won the AFC title 21-10 over Buffalo. The jungle was a-rockin'. In the first quarter, after an Eric Thomas interception, Icky from a yard out, 7-0 Cincinnati lead. And you know what's coming after a Woods score, the Icky shuffle. Number 30 took his act to the sidelines, some help from Fulcher, Billups, Wilcox, Thomas.
Last night I couldn't sleep real well, you know, being in the AFC Championship game, and I was like, well, this is one of the biggest games of my life, so I have to go out there and play to my heart's content, and that's what I did. I played every snap 100%, and we came out victorious.
On we go to quarter number 2 with the score tied at 7-all. Boomer, the alley-oop to perfection to a wide-open James Brooks for 6 more. The Bengals owned a 14-7 lead, a lead they never relinquished. In the third, the Bengals defense took command on Buffalo's first 3 series. They were held to a minus 13 yards of total offense. Bucked the sack on Kelly. He played a marvelous game. Now here's maybe the play of the game. On 4th and 4, the Bengals pull off the stunt. They faked the punt. Stanley Wilson picked up 6 yards for the first down. That play changed the complexion of this ball game. After a Buffalo personal foul, to sustain the Bengal drive, Icky gave the fans a curtain call. Second score of the game, 29 carries, 102 yards, and to the delight of 60,000, the shuffle came twice. I like this gig at the end, though. I really like that. They got to do it in the end zone in Miami. He will do it. The defense, they picked off Kelly 3 times. This one by Fulcher late sealed it. Sam and David exchanged celebration showers, and the Bengals march on to Super Bowl 23, 21-10, the final today.
You know, it's such a long way back, you know, and to be at in such a valley last year and to rise to the top this year, it's just, you know, words can't express the way I feel. I'll probably feel a little better tomorrow morning, but it'll probably sink in a little bit, but it's going to the big show, and we're going to make the nod, I think.
The big show it is. All right, coming up in just about 10 minutes, it'll be Ken Broo's Sports Extra live from the waterfront where some of the Bengals are celebrating the victory. Carl Zander is in that group, and he now joins us from the waterfront. Carl, first of all, thanks for being with us. And how does it feel? You've had a few hours to let it sink in.
Oh, there's no doubt. It's a great feeling. Biggest game of my life, and we came out on top, so I definitely feel elated. Just can't wait to get to Miami.
Carl, you told me 2 weeks ago, just before the Seattle game, that the defense was going to come around in these playoffs. Is this kind of a sweet revenge for you guys against some of the critics who
deserves more credit for this year's?
Their names are never mentioned.
Congratulations to you. Carl Zander, live from the waterfront, and again, Ken Broo will have more on that coming up in about 10 minutes. The highlight which capped off the day's events went down in Chicago.
Weiss and his entire coaching staff is going to be.
But they quickly became disappointed.
They're waiting to take them on in Super Bowl 23.
Let it happen, Captain. We're on the new menu.
The Bengals are AFC champs, headed for the Super Bowl. My name is Ken Broo, and Sports Extra is straight ahead.
That's immediately followed.
Round number 69. I know for as intense a competitor as you are, right now you've got to feel just it's the ultimate, isn't it?
I feel great. I'm about 2 feet off the ground. I wouldn't have to sit in a chair right now, but my wife told me to settle down. We're going to have a heart attack, but when we got out of the car, we came back from the game, she says, just settle down, calm down, sit on the chair, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this. Something I worked for all my life, and I finally reached my ultimate goal, and we're going to play in the Super Bowl, and I think we're going to bring back a victory.
The thing about you is, in both the games, against Seattle and today against the Buffalo Bills, it seems like your number was called every play. You were in on every play today. You might not have made the tackle, but boy, they had to go around you to get by you.
Well, that's the situation you want to be in to
As the type of player I am, I want to make every play, and I'm going to make every play. If there's a will, there's a want. And I want to, and I will make every play. And the situation is, can they block me or can they not? There's 2 or 3 guys with me all the time, but hell, I'm going to make a play here and there. And, it's up to them to block me.
We're going to see the highlights here in a second, but it looked like a physical game day. Physical game today, Tim. Was there a lot of talking, I know, on your part?
A lot of talking. It's just a pressurized game. When you got a game of this important, you know, nobody wants to give in a little, and I guess it's the competitiveness in you is coming out. And, you know, you're taunting your opponent, but you have to keep your poise at the same time.
Tim McGee, Tim Crumrine, both joining us here at the Waterfront. We'll have other Bengal players as well. We wanted to look at the highlights of this afternoon's game because it was just the ultimate at the Jungle. You know, you just have to sit back and think about this game and the whole season, in fact. Just think about it. The Bengals, if they win one more, are Super Bowl champions, and there's nobody in Cleveland that can make that statement tonight or any other night. The Jungle was rocking today. It was a sea of orange down at Riverfront Stadium, and the Bengals, both of these guys, were sky high. Well, the Bengals were on Sunday, big time, and the Jungle was rocking. Supposed to be the Bills who had the awesome defense, but it was the Bengals who jumped into the Super Bowl with plays like this. Eric Thomas with the heist.
Construction of the human magnet.
Untrue.
Yes.
And as for the cold and windy city of Chicago, for a thin
flat.
You can read business.
But he agrees with Weiss, and they give it to James Brooks, and they thought they were going to run out the clock. They didn't punt. They didn't run it out of the end zone. They gave it back to the Niners. That's what they did with 2 seconds left in the game. What happened? Well, Montana threw to Jerry Rice for a come-from-behind 27-26 win. At that point, they were saying that Sam Weiss was stupid and that he should be fired. Chris Myers tells us things have changed.
And especially on the 30-yard.
Second quarter we go. Jim Kelly on the rollout, and he will tie the game at 7 by finding Andre Reed. But Boomer brought the troops back. Boomer Esiason would throw for only 74 yards Sunday. This one covered 10 and put the Bengals in the lead for good. James Brooks with the catch. And when they gave the ball back to the Bills, the Bengals defense was just relentless. Countless pressures. Here is rookie David Grant with one of 3 sacks today.
He ran a stunt that's called a U stunt, where he comes in, I loop around, and he just picked the guard, and the guard kicked him out. I just went there unblocked.
Late in the second quarter, the Bengals with the ball inside 2 minutes to play. Boomer looking for more action, but he's held up by the Bills' Mark Kelso. He'd take the ball just deep enough to get the Bills back in the ball game, because with only 22 seconds to go till halftime, Scott Norwood gets the Bills within 4 points, but the troops all business in the locker room at halftime.
I made some comments about how when you come in at halftime, go back at the second half, you just feel like the game's over. You know, you just want to go home and relax. And when we came out second half today, it wasn't no feeling like that. There was nothing like that at all. And we just played as hard as we could play.
Back live at the biggest Bengal party of the night here at the Waterfront in Covington. Say hello to number 30 in your program, Ickey Woods, the Rookie of the Year. I don't care what the NFL is saying. You have had the season to remember in this town, my friend.
Oh, yeah, I had a pretty decent season, but I have to give a credit to the other 10 guys on the field, Ken. Without them guys blocking for me, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish what I've accomplished up to this point.
Ickey, let's talk about the running game today. We saw in these first half highlights that it struggled a little bit, but then it seemed to kick in right there at the end of the first quarter.
Meanwhile, we've got this long... They have been to the Super Bowl now twice during the...
Home troops were up by 4. The score was 14-10 at halftime. It was time for the defense to rise and take notice. The stars in the second half all on the defensive side of the ball. Jason Buck and David Grant, they were the beef up front. They had more stunts than a circus act and made Jim Kelly's life miserable.
David and I were pulling them all out of the hat. You know, they were going with a quick offense, and we were just calling them ourselves. And, you know, everything worked great.
Now, the special teams were working great Sunday, too, particularly punter Lee Johnson. Here is the punt of the season. Johnson unleashes a 58-yard kick that rolls dead inside the Bills' 1. In the entire second half, the best start the Bills had was from their own 23. Johnson's punts were that good. Even when he didn't kick, it worked. Look at Turk Schonert sneak up, take the snap, hand off to Stanley Wilson, who gets the first down.
I hid pretty well. You know, I hid behind all those big guys, and they saw me up there when I got on the wing. But when I went under center, they didn't know what to do.
Turk said shift, and we go up and line up in a regular formation.
and kind of just leave Johnson standing back there in the back. You know, it got the crowd back in the game. It got our offensive going again, and from that moment on, we ran the ball well and ended the game.
A spirited game, a rough game, a game of personal wars like this one between the Bills' Derek Burrows and Tim McGee. Burrows decks McGee right in front of the ref. Burrows thrown out of the game, much to the chagrin of Bills coach Marv Levy. Levy didn't like it, but Burrows was gone, and the Bills never recovered, at least in their defensive secondary after this. It allowed the Bengals to ice the game, and they did it just 4 seconds into the fourth quarter. Ickey Woods goes over from the 1, 21-10 Bengals, and that was the final. And it wasn't because the Bills had few chances. Jim Kelly got him close right here, only to have David Fulcher snuff out the hope with the Bengals' third heist of the day. And that started the party. Fulcher and Uncle Sam got into their own personal Gatorade battle. The Bengals could afford to party. They are on their way to their second ever Super Bowl. Super Bowl 23 in Miami against the 49ers.
At the beginning of the year, we got to make it to the Super Bowl. It's great. You can't believe it, you know. And now to really make a big deal out of it, I mean, or say, we can't talk to the press. I mean, this is what it's all about. You're supposed to have fun in these things.
You told Sam that.
Oh, you know, I keep telling Sam that. Let's enjoy ourselves. We might as well. And you know, it's going to be hard to repeat next year, but so we might as well enjoy it this year.
It's been a great year, and it's been a very tough year in terms of must-wins from week to week. But it's the mark of a real good ball club to handle it.
And the Bengals handled it this afternoon at the Jungle. Let's take a look at the game stats. Now look at the top 4 columns, but really drop down to the bottom column. Possession time. Time of possession told the story in this game. The Bengals with a 19-minute advantage. 19-minute advantage in possession time today. And that, more than anything else, tells the story of this game. Rushing yardage today, the Bengals with a big advantage. They hold Buffalo to only 45 rushing yards. In terms of passing yards, not a great day for Boomer Esiason, but nonetheless a workmanlike game. In total yards, the Bengals with a big advantage, 249 to 181. And in first downs, the Bengals... Stop it!
It kills.
17 wins. You think?
Yeah, out loud.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
That'll be another show.
Thank you very much.
Listen, 2 years ago, you have all kinds of problems with Art Still. The story well documented. You lose your starting assignment. Today, Art Still comes to town. I think maybe 1 or 2 times he's in on Boomer. The rest of the time, you're right there. Art Still not a factor in this game. Was this a personal challenge for you today?
Kind of, but more of a team goal. I mean, you sit here and think personal goals, but when you get to this playoff level, you want to think about the team all together, and that's what happened. I thought of the team, and, you know, like, this is a win or lose situation, and it was a win situation, and I enjoyed it.
You were as emotional a player as there was on the field today, because I was watching you. You were into it. You were intense. When there was a great player up, when things weren't going so well, I could see the look of dejection on your face. I mean, you were mentally into this thing. It was obvious.
Well, I don't think, I mean, you don't have to look at me for that. Now, you can look all up and down the sidelines. There's 44 other guys like that. I mean, this is the biggest thing in our lives. There's about 8 or 9 guys that have been to where we're at now, and there's about whatever that haven't been there, and we haven't experienced it, and today we got a taste of it. To see Paul Brown have the tear in his eye, I mean, you just want to go out and win a Super Bowl for him. I mean, it's something else.
Brian Blados, Brian, has it sunk in yet the fact that you are a part of an AFC championship team that will play in the big casino here in 2 weeks?
Well, it's taking its time. I've got some friends, some special friends. I'm looking at her now, but it's kind of like a little good luck charm, and I hope this bubbles over into Miami, and I hope we can take care of them in Miami.
Brian Blados, number 74. That's me,
this
right?
This is number one in your heart.
Okay, all righty.
You're a good man.
Thank you, Brian, for coming down.
Thank you very much.
We're at the biggest Bengal party in the city tonight. We're at the Waterfront in Covington. Sports Extra will continue here in just a second. A lot more coming up. We have some more Bengals to talk with live. And the hottest topic of the day happened before the game even started.
And it was ridiculous how the whole thing came out, but the heck with it, man. Whatever it takes, we'll just do it. And whatever the way they say, we'll do that and we'll win the game. The heck with it.
Last year was just a great...
How far do you?
It's important to be aware of the early signs and symptoms. If a child or teenager shows unusual behavior such as severe tiredness, belligerence, or excessive vomiting, after appearing to recover from chickenpox or flu, get medical help immediately. Give no medications.
Today's guest will receive a gift from Helbros, the new tradition in time. See Helbros quartz watches at leading stores and catalog showrooms. And the professional home protection starter kit by Black & Decker to help safeguard their home or apartment. Compliments of True Value stores and home centers.
We get many more of these Bengals on. We're going to have to open our own jewelry store. We're back at the Waterfront. The biggest Bengal party in the city is going on right here tonight as the Bengals celebrate their first AFC championship since the 1981 season. You know, quite a controversy today down at the big ballpark at the Jungle. You heard it here first last night when Thom Brennaman reported that the NFL was going to outlaw the Bengals' no-huddle offense this afternoon. It was the main subject of conversation in the press box today as well as on the field.
The NFL was putting the brakes to the Bengals' no-huddle offense. It was in the papers this morning. It was on television last night. Problem was, Sam Weiss was the last to know.
3.5 hours before game time, nobody had said anything to me from the league office, so I didn't know anything to tell them other than what I heard on the news and read in the morning paper.
The league got around to telling Sam about 2 hours before game time. You think Sam was hot?
Seems to me my voice did peak there at one point, yeah.
All this began last week. Seattle took the Bengals out of the no-huddle by faking injuries and stopping play. That allowed Seattle time to get their proper defense on the field. Then it all came to a head on Friday when Bills coach Marv Levy did some big-time whining at his news conference.
I think that is outside the spirit of the rules, and Chuck Knox would have been a fool to allow himself to be lured into a penalty and not have an equal opportunity to get his personnel in the field.
While coming into the game, the no-huddle offense was a big issue with the Bills. Once the game started, that all changed. The no-huddle became no issue. The Bills and Bengals went about business as usual. Fortunately, the no-huddle fiasco didn't affect play.
I just told Sam, I said, Sam, I'm not doing anything differently. And we didn't, and you know, we didn't need to do it.
Sam actually praised the officials today, even sang the Star-Spangled Banner with them. But his beef wasn't with the men in stripes. It was with the men in three-piece suits that run the NFL. And in describing today's fake punt, Sam got in a jab at Levy.
Of course, a lot of teams do that. There's nothing illegal or out of the spirit of the rules. It's part of what's called strategy. Some coaches ought to figure that one out for themselves, too.
I think they made a mistake by doing that because our guys got so fired up about it. I mean, they came into our stadium, they made a big deal about the air horns and the blow horns, and they you know, we can't do this in our stadium, we can't do that. And now they complain to the league about we can't do a hurry-up offense.
For the league to 1 hour and 50 minutes take that away from you, that's not fair, it's not right. I'm proud of our team for overcoming that.
For the Super Bowl, the league ought to try a rule against Bengal touchdowns. Maybe then the stuffed shirts will finally accomplish their goal. I'm George Vogel for Ken Broo, Sports Extra.
Thank you, George. It was not a factor in the game, but it was nonetheless a topic of conversation. It's starting to shape up like 1981 all over again. It's going to be the Bengals against the 49ers in Super Bowl 23 at Miami. And when we come back, we will take a look at how the 49ers beat the Cold and Chicago this afternoon. A 1989 rematch of Super Bowl 16 is on the plate. We'll tell you about it.
With one of the...
for the game.